guys, this is Ryan here from CNR Reviews. This, as you guys may know, you may have seen it in some of our other videos here. This is a hex receiver Mosin Nagant M9130. Okay, this gun is from 1934. It has a laminated stock on it that actually came in pretty good condition here. We haven't done anything to this stock. Beautiful stock. When we bought it here, it was just perfect after we took all the Cosmoline out. So we've decided to leave this gun just the way we bought it. Some of the other guns may have not come as good looking as this. So what we decided was to modify some of the other guns, and this video is to show you guys that what we chose and what are some of your options if you decide to modify, replace your stock, some of the aftermarket options that you guys will have. So this one, like I said, really good condition, and as you guys can see, it's fully stock. It's got the regular adjustable blade sight right here, which there's some aftermarket options for that, and it's just got the regular black rings up here. It's a really nice rifle to keep stock from the factory. It's really nice. Now here's one that was not so pretty, and we actually took it and refinished the stock here. Now all we did, guys, we just sanded off. I know a lot of the people are out there going, yeah, you know, just take the shellac off with some hot water and some crud cutter, you know, get that stuff off of there. We chose to go a different way with it because we wanted to take out some of the dings and you know, things like that. This is an after the war stock. You guys can tell that by the differences here. They had a little bit more time to actually put these little metal sleeves in and everything in, you know, before the war. This one, they didn't have the time, so this one was during the war. Okay, and they kind of went towards, if you look at the front up here, you see the differences in there too. So now this one still has the regular blade sight. We did take the rings here and we just kind of sanded those off with a Dremel, and then took different levels of like a sanding bit and just polished those up, and then we took some flits and actually polished it up with a felt wheel, and they turned out great. Also did some of that to the bolt here, the bolt handle. Polished that up really nice, got a lot of that corrosion and stuff off. If you guys look at this other one here, it is darker, it's a little bit more dingy, there's a lot more dings and things like that in it. That's what this one looked like. This one right here looked like this before we got to it. So now, then we just we put a ebony black stain on this, wiped it off, and then we actually put, I believe, 4 different coats of tung oil on there. If you guys aren't familiar with tung oil, it actually, when it hardens, after it soaks into the pores of the wood, it actually hardens to be almost like a plasticky, rubbery finish on there. But the gun is really nice and smooth, and it filled in a lot of the dings and stuff in there from between sanding and actually taking the tung oil on there. It's made it a really nice finish. So, and it's different. I haven't seen a whole bunch of the Mosins look like this. So now, if you guys want something like, if you have a nice stock, nice wood stock, and even though these guns only cost $100 or around $100, you still, if the stock's in good condition, you're not going to want to take it out and beat it the hell up if you're going hunting. So some people do use these for hunting. This is the option that I used and that I made one of my Mosins into for going hunting. Now this is a Polymer ATI Mosin Nagant stock. Okay, it's actually pretty heavy. Absorbs the recoil pretty well. That cost about, I want to say about 60 or 70 bucks. I do have a Black Hawk cheek riser on the back here. It just laces on, and what that does is it actually raises the cheek point up a little bit so that you can use the next addition that I put on, which was the brass stacker rail and a BSA Edge pistol scope, which is a long eye relief scope on there. So the brass stacker, I believe, was about 60 bucks, and the scope I actually got on a deal. This is like $150, $160 scope, guys. I got it for about 30 bucks online. So look on Amazon.com. And then I just put a regular classic bipod on there, and it's ready to go hunting. It really is. This one was a round receiver. Was made during the war. It doesn't have. And when I talk about round receiver, guys, this is what I'm talking about here. The machining on it isn't as good. It's not as tight. So it's. I mean, it shoots really well. But the Russians were under so much pressure during the war at this time. This one's a 1943. They were under so much pressure from the Germans at this time that they just started kicking rifles out as quickly as they could. This one's also a 1943. You guys can just see the differences here. This one's much nicer. There's the grinding here. This is the high wall. This is what's called a low wall, because they actually ground that down quite a bit. You can just tell here that the machining is a lot better on this rifle than this one. So it's a lot smoother. And that's what you get when people have more time. So again, that's a different sporterized version of this rifle. Now Chad took his in a different direction, and actually he fully replaced his stock as well. And what he did was he went with a Boyd's pre-finished laminated stock. I believe this is the pepper laminate. And Chad, how much did this stock run you?
They run about $100, $99. So it's basically the cost of the gun.
Yep, and it actually turns it to a little bit of a pistol grip here, guys, where you actually grip it like that. It's got a thumb hole in there.
Which surprisingly reduces some recoil. It's actually very impressive for as light as it is.
Now Chad's is a different type of round receiver. This is a 1940 round receiver, so you guys can see the round receiver here, but you can also see that it has the low wall like the hex receiver does. So this one was in a time where they had a little bit more time to make the rifle, and so they did all the machining well on it, took their time with it. So it's just as good, even though it's a round receiver, it's just as good as the hexagonal receiver. So, and again, this one's from 1940. Now Chad has also replaced his leaf sight, or his front blade sight here, with a Mojo Click, I believe it is. Mojo Click rear sight. And what that does is it kind of gives you guys a, let me see if I can hold it up here. Kind of gives you like a ghost ring sight on there, and it's more akin to a AR-15 sight picture. And Chad, how's the accuracy on that sight?
Actually, we've been really surprised. That sight runs about $75 after shipping and handling, and it's real easy to install. As far as accuracy goes, this little click thing here actually raises the sight, raises actually for elevation, and I was able to get it sighted in within about 5 rounds, and we're splitting pieces of paper out at 100 yards and further. So far I'm really impressed. It gives a little bit different sight picture than what you get from the standard Mosin, with just that plain Jane, almost like a pistol sight, really.
Yeah. It's a split sight there.
Yeah. And like I said, that stock, I actually didn't know about the stock. Ryan told me about these Boyd's gun stocks, and it is super unique. I haven't seen anybody else have this setup.
Just wants to turn.
Yeah, sorry, it's kind of trying to turn. But as you guys can see, I mean, you have a really nice butt pad that comes with it. You do have to do some grinding to get it to fit, same with the ATI stock.
Yeah, you do have to fit it, guys, where the where you're actually pressing the bullet in, there's a little ledge that you can sit on here. Let me see if I can show you guys here. This little piece right here that moves in and out. I don't know if you guys can see that there. It actually moves in and out when you put the round in. Sometimes the stocks don't come with enough clearance on the side for the spring to actually push out, and so you have to grind that. You have to grind that out on both of these stocks. If it's coming from the factory, you're probably not going to need to do that. Although we have heard of some of the ones that were made during the war that didn't have the greatest machining in the world. We've heard that the sidewall over here is a little thick, that it's not finished, so you may need to grind down on that also.
So guys, these are just great examples of customizing your Mosin. Maybe you want to leave it stock. If you want to do some simple sanding and restaining, which me and Ryan were really surprised on how easy it really was, because guys make it look a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah, it really was easy, guys. It just took a little elbow grease and got it done.
And some heavy grit sandpaper. And then just, yeah, and it really turned out beautiful. Then you have the sporterized one. I really recommend that for hunting. Seems like it really has held up well. And then you have this other unique stock. Now, one thing I will complain about is that this laminate stock does scratch easily, so I don't know if that would be a real hunting stock. This is more just a really unique gun to take to the range and everybody oohs and ahs because they've never seen a Mosin Nagant like that.
And it looks really, really pretty.
Yeah, it looks really, it actually makes it a polished turd. To be honest,
it really does.
But I mean, and to be honest, guys, these guns are really accurate guns. Don't let anybody tell you differently. They're surprisingly fun to shoot. There's a reason why so many people have them. It's not just because they're cheap. They're actually a really well-made weapon.
Yeah, they're really fun to shoot, guys. The technology back then was just amazing. Now, there are some other things that you guys can do, like custom triggers and things like that. Mm-hmm. We haven't gotten into that yet. If we do, we will let you guys know. Also, there are bent bolts. One of the reasons I went with the Scout setup is because this bolt goes straight up. So, and you can't have a traditional scope there. You got to have the clearance for this. So, yeah, there are bent bolts that you can buy. Check out. There's military surplus websites, and then there's also your local gun show. If you go down there, some of the guys have made bent bolts for these, and you can just buy the actual the bolt handle assembly, and you can just put it on your own bolt, and it works fine. So
guys, if you have questions on how we did some of this stuff, or maybe you had some trouble getting the Cosmoline off, we have a couple good videos out there showing you how we remove the Cosmoline to get it like that. And then we have not done a video on how we sanded it, but just to be honest with you, it's super simple. Just sand it with some 80 grit sandpaper or 60 grit sandpaper.
Yeah, you got to have something thick enough to get through the shellac that's on here. On this one, it had a real heavy shellac. It looked like it was honestly spray painted with just red spray paint. It looked like
very nasty.
It was just so dark you couldn't see any of the wood grain on there, and you use that 80 grit to cut through it, and then to sand down to the actual wood grain and get rid of the stain, the old stain. Just use some fine 220 grit, 150, somewhere around there, and the wood will just shine.
And it honestly only took a couple hours to get it sanded down. And then to stain, it's just following directions and being patient.
Yeah, make sure you wipe your stain off after about 5 to 10 minutes if you guys are using Minwax. Read the directions, guys. Don't just think that you know and go in there.
And to be honest with you, I believe Ryan took actually an hour or so or more to get his ATI stock to fit. So in that amount of time, you could have sanded your original stock. So it's just some options. Now, this guy didn't take as much to fit. I had to drill out a couple holes, which when I do the review, I'll actually show you when I take the gun apart. Of where I drilled out to make the gun function. And it really, we spent maybe 20 minutes messing with it to make it fit right, and that was it. And even the installation of that sight, that Mojo sight, it only took maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most to take it out and then mess with it. So,
and something that's so simple, guys, it'll just put your rifle above and beyond anybody else's out there is just maybe polishing up these rings, polishing up your bolt or something like that, just cleaning it up a little bit, and it'll look 100 times better. I mean, we're maybe thinking of actually doing one of the barrels.
Yeah. Let's actually show you guys that. Ryan had a good idea. Want to see what was underneath the barrel. I don't know how well you can see that because of the sunlight. Let me see if I can get it from a different angle. But that is what is underneath that finish. It's a beautiful, beautiful finish. And you can get that polished up. If you could actually polish the entire barrel, and it's going to take you some time to do. And then you're going to want to make sure that you treat it with oil and like some Tetragun grease or something like that to make sure it doesn't rust.
Now
check that out.
Flitz, if you polish it with Flitz, guys, it actually should protect from corrosion a little bit. It does fill in some of the smaller divots and really smooths out that metal there. So we haven't had any problems with corrosion on any of these parts that we polished because we did polish them with Flitz metal polish afterwards, and that is actually, it actually specifically says that you can use it on firearms. So just the small touches, if you guys are going to refinish, bring that rifle up. You know, to be above and beyond. But then again, if you got a good looking one like this, keep it stock.
Keep it stock.
Looks good. If you guys want another option, these two right here, perfect. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe. If you guys have any questions, let us know. We will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Again, this is Ryan and Chad here from CNR Reviews, and we thank you for watching.